Hey students, Mr. Passeri here, and it is Thursday night. And before I go about my business for the rest of the evening, I wanted to give you a little bit of background information on your homework reading, which is due Friday at midnight. Your reading is on the Louisiana Purchase. It is on pages 280 to 285. So, without further ado, here's some background information to help you gain a richer understanding of the content. Now, the main issue that's going to be discussed here is the importance of westward expansion and federalism. Again, federalism is the balance between the power that the United States has on a national government level versus the power that the states that comprise the United States have individually, right? There's U.S. law as a nation, and then the states can have their own individual laws as well, but it has to kind of coexist under that umbrella of the Constitution and the power in Washington, D.C. And it's a balancing act. How do you maintain your freedoms and your own individual cultures while being part of a stable, unified country? So Thomas Jefferson's the president. Right now, in your reading, it's 1805, and Thomas Jefferson is a big fan of France. Now, France is dealing with the ironic consequences of their backing the United States Revolution against English monarchy. The U.S. overthrowing the King of England has led to the French want to overthrow the King of France. And they don't just want to overthrow him, they do overthrow them and kill his family. The French Revolution is much more violent in terms of reaching the common person and really creating the term of terrorism. We hear about political terrorism. People tend to think of Islamic suicide bombers, but the term terrorism is something that comes from Western Europe and France. Okay? Now, political terror didn't originate necessarily in France, but the idea that terrorism as a political system, as a method to ensure political policy be followed, that is something that has its origins in large part to the French Revolution, which is led by a man named Maximilien Robespierre, and he led a movement called the Jacobins, and the ideals of the French Revolution were equality, fraternity, liberty. Okay, equality, brotherhood, and liberty. And if you don't agree with that, I'm going to cut your head off. That's essentially the path the French Revolution took. Now, the high ideals of the French Revolution mixed with the bloody methods of the French Revolution ultimately led to a situation where Robespierre was killed by his own policies, so basically he set a fire that ultimately burned himself. He was decapitated. He got his head chopped off by the guillotine, which was his method of killing people who disagreed with him on the French Revolution. But the ideals of the French Revolution were still very popular for good reason, and France was in a lot of chaos. And the person that came to continue those ideals while bringing stability to France was a guy by the name of Napoleon Bonaparte, and he succeeded essentially in turning France into a massive global empire that is of some of the most prestigious in history. It has the highest reputation, one of the highest reputations as a global empire in history due to the amount of territory that he was able to acquire. Napoleon basically controlled what is known as continental Western Europe and had colonies all over the world. So one of those colonies that he had let me explain first. Napoleon ends up making Spain obey him, essentially. He puts his brother on the throne of Spain, and what ends up happening is Napoleon basically comes under control of Spanish territory, and one of those Spanish territories is a place called Haiti, and other Spanish territories in North America are basically territories in Florida, and then what's known as the Louisiana Territory, which spreads from pretty much the Mississippi River through to the Rocky Mountains here. This right here in the green is your Louisiana territory. Now, Napoleon wants to have a big presence in the Americas, and ironically, Haiti becomes increasingly hard to control because of the ideals of the French Revolution. Haiti is a Spanish colony that ends up, again, coming under control of France. And the problem is that the slaves look to the ideals of the American Revolution and the French Revolution and decide to do their own version of the French Revolution, bloody terror included. Now, Haiti is noted for having centuries of very, very brutal slavery, complete disregard for the lives of slaves, the torture of slaves, and in 1802, essentially, you have a big slave revolt in Haiti, led by a privileged slave by the name of Toussaint Louverture. His movement, he comes to be known as the Black Jacobins. And what this means for Napoleon is that the slaves are now in control and ruling Haiti through bloody terror, which, I mean, I don't have a ton of sympathy for the slave owners. I do have some sympathy for their women and children that are getting brutally slaughtered, so I don't really have any romantic ideas about the Haitian Revolution. Terrorism is not acceptable in my eyes. Anyway, Napoleon can't control Haiti and tries to take Haiti under his own control, put these slaves under his own control. So while Napoleon might stand for liberty, eternity, and equality, he also stands for being able to control his empire, and he is not able to control the new liberated government of Haiti, which is run by Toussaint and his band of terrorists who rule in the name of democracy while killing people who disagree with them. Now, France sinks a lot of money and lives into trying to take control of Haiti. They can't do it. So Napoleon basically does what's known as cutting your losses in the Americas and says, you know what, I'm just going to not bother with this for right now. I'm going to go focus on fighting the British in Europe. So I'm going to go fight them for global domination. And by the way, I need money to do this. So I'm going to sell the Louisiana Territory to the United States. And Thomas Jefferson and Napoleon end up coming to an agreement, $15 million for the Louisiana Territory. Now, Thomas Jefferson is going to hire two explorers by the name of Meriwether Lewis and William Clark. They're going to explore and describe what's in the Louisiana Territory so that the U.S. government knows what it's getting and how to control it. And they are successful in large part because of a Native American woman by the name of Sacagawea. She helps negotiate Lewis and Clark's interactions with Native American tribes, understanding the land, survival. Sacagawea is very important in the growth and expansion of the United States. Now to the issue of federalism. The Federalists and the Democratic Republicans, which is the party of Thomas Jefferson, the Federalists are on the side, strangely, of big government, and Thomas Jefferson's Democratic Republicans are on the sides of states' rights. However, things that are on paper and what's convenient politically and for your own power are two different things. So basically what ends up happening is the Federalists come down on the side of states' rights, and Thomas Jefferson comes on the side of big government here. And what ends up happening is the Federalists are afraid that the Democratic Republicans, controlled by Thomas Jefferson, are going to come to dominate the Louisiana Territory, that the Federalists are going to lose their voice in the United States, and so what they want to do is secede and start their own Northeastern Confederacy. This, incidentally, is an almost identical argument to what the Southerners argue when they leave the U.S. government. The major difference is that the northern states do not have a cash crop slave economy that becomes almost essential to their economic survival and their culture, and becomes intertwined with their culture like it does in the South. Um, Ultimately, the Northeastern plan to secede fails, and the Federalists are ultimately pretty much discredited as a political party. Aaron Burr is basically, a bit of an outcast at this point. And the Republicans, I'm sorry, the Federalists try to use Aaron Burr to help their effort to help New York secede. Alexander Hamilton, who is a huge rival of Aaron Burr, gets into a huge debate with Aaron Burr, paints Aaron Burr as a traitor. Aaron Burr ends up losing his bid to be governor of New York. Aaron Burr and Alexander Hamilton's rivalry gets so heated they actually engage in a duel, and Alexander Hamilton will lose that duel. As story goes that Alexander Hamilton didn't like dueling and missed Aaron Burr intentionally. Aaron Burr, on the other hand, took that duel seriously, and he won. So there's that. Incidentally, the duel had to take place in New Jersey because dueling was legal there. States' rights. Some places dueling is legal, some places it is illegal. And Aaron Burr had to basically flee to avoid arrest. I believe he hid out in South Carolina, if memory serves me correctly. So that's basically your reading. And, rest in peace to Alexander Hamilton. There you go. So until next time, guys, I'm Mr. Passeri. If you have any questions about what we talked about in this video, please message me in the classroom or via email. Take care and stay safe. And we're almost done with the school year. Hang in there. Finish strong. Bye-bye.